in the symbolism speaks about, in this book in particular, in the Book of Certainty. I'm just going to read you something just to give you an idea. As in the Seal of Solomon, his central function as mediator is also figured in the cross, which is another symbol of universal man. And in that, the horizontal line represents the fullness of his earthly nature. Now, this is pure symbolism for you. Now, they can take on the cross and give you the symbolism of the cross. Never mind, just two pieces of things stick to each other. They can give you the inner meaning of this and the other and the other. Well, the whole book is concerning with that. In order to prove what they want to prove, which is that all the religions have the same common origin. In Islam, in Christianity, etc., etc. Just to give you a little bit of how they write. Okay? In his book about Shaykh al-Alawi, he writes, as an extreme, subtle and penetrating metaphysician from metaphysics, he was, referring to the Shaykh, able to reconcile plurality with unity in the Trinitarian conception of the three persons in a transubstantial identity. Now, this is what I like about these guys, is that they can prove anything. Something that is not right, that clearly defines the odds of making any comparison, is interpreted symbolically. And even Shaykh al-Alawi can be ascribed to the fact that he was a defender of the Trinity of the Christians. Never mind, because the true Trinity, the meaning of the Trinity, symbolically represents unity. And so on. This is how it goes. Oh, he has things about the alif and the ba and the ta and the tha. So they love that, because like the tafsir says, alif ba ta tha, commentary, al-Ahwali. But not Martin Lins. Martin Lins has an interpretation. About the cross, he writes, for many Muslims, the cross is something in the nature of an enemy flag. But for the Sufis, it is the symbol of the highest significance. RENé GUéNON dedicated his symbolism of the cross, it's a book of RENé GUéNON, to the memory of an older contemporary sheikh of Shaykh al-Alawi, an eminent Egyptian Shadili, the one I mentioned before, to whom RENé GUéNON says, I owe the first idea of this book to him. Later, he quotes him as having said, if Christians have the signs of the cross, the Muslims have its doctrine. We have the doctrine of the cross. It's typical symbolism crap. Okay? So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. You see, that the fact that he followed this man I never heard of this sheikh, but the fact that he's already speaking this kind of language suggests the idea that, as it was happening already in Egypt, and in particular in Cairo, he could have been one of the many people who started the Freemasonic Sufis of the time, of which Egypt has been always famous for. And then another important guy is John Bennett. John Bennett, he followed. Bennett. He was from Gurdjieff, another character of the time, similar characteristics, and he claimed to be Naqshbandi. And he is important for two people, because he brought he uplifted Subud, Pak Subud, in Indonesia, which is a complete false new religion, of the nature of which is essentially Freemasonic in terms of ideas. And the other one, it was Sheikh Nazim al-Kubriz, this guy from Cyprus. He was introduced to the West by Bennett, because both they claim to come from Gurdjieff, and the relation between Gurdjieff and these two is all proven and written, and they all keep saying exactly the same things. Well, if you want to see more details of these, you can just check it out over here. You have quotes, and you have a whole vast number of quotes. That's why the book is so thick, so that you can read for yourself. The books are available. The only thing that is important here is to follow the Isnad. In the same way, in Tasawwuf, the Isnad is very important. In these deviations, the Isnad is fundamental. So if anyone that comes from Shun and comes from GUéNON, you can follow that the ideas are going to be very similar. And something that is presented a little bit more symbolically, so they don't express it quite in the same way in order to create a wider audience. When you interpret the symbol according to what the master has said, I mean his master, then you start tracing the whole thing back. So the idea of SOPHIA PERENNIS is fundamental to all of them. This is the principle, that there is this SOPHIA PERENNIS. Somebody like Sayyid Hussein Nasser, he has book. This man cannot speak one sentence without saying SOPHIA PERENNIS in it. So you can find a lot of material, especially in these countries, translated everywhere. GUéNON, if you want to find the best collections in English language of GUéNON, you find them in Pakistan. And you will say, why Pakistan? Because the Freemasonic lodges in Pakistan love RENé GUéNON. And why the Pakistanis and RENé GUéNON? Well, the connection is through another individual, and that came later on. But the important thing here is that some people have figured out that this is a way of making the Muslims comply with this new world order, this type of Sufism, false Sufism. So they are promoted, these characters are promoted. Martin Links has an overwhelming, his presence in bookshop is astonishing. They are much better series. They are traditional series. And he's as promoting. Now, what interests me is the role of the ulama in trying to look whether this is acceptable or this is not acceptable. It's an author that it should be banned, as simple as that. But never mind. So this is a little bit the characters, but we will fail to understand this matter without going into the depth of the ideas. It's not the characters, but it's what the ideas are. This is what is important. And why somebody like RENé GUéNON insists on reforming Freemasonry in order to qualify into this SOPHIA PERENNIS philosophy, and to transform the whole idea of the great architect of the universe into the true God of these SOPHIA PERENNIS. All of these interpreted symbolically, which means that you can interpret it any way you wish to. You can look into the cross and you can see anything that you want. From a sword to railway line crossing, to the horizontal for mankind and the vertical for the spiritual, to anything that you want. So the idea of a universal tradition, and the idea of the tradition, accepting the tradition of the Hindus and the tradition of the Christians, and it boils down to one particular element where you have to draw the line. Here, Islam, on how do we say Christianity? We say kufr. Okay? kufr. Christianity is kufr. Judaism is kufr. Now, this is where you draw the line. Where you find people saying a Christian is not a kafir, and we are the brothers of the Christians, or we are the brothers of the Jews, that is kufr. No doubt about it. Qadi Abu Bakr ibn al-Arabi says, whoever says that the Christians are not kuffar and the Jews are not kuffar, he is himself a kafir. That's very clear, right? So any alliance or any declaration of brotherhood with the kuffar, this is in itself kufr. Therefore, the participation in any Freemasonic organization, or the participation in any of these para-Freemasonic organizations in order to recruit you and participate, is already one kufr and the other one leading to kufr. It should be banned, it should be forbidden, it should be taken out of Muslim lands. Freemasonry should be declare kufr in itself, and any attempt of organizing or participating or promoting activities in Muslim land should be taken out. I'm not the first Muslim to say this, but the people who preceded me, I think they're mostly dead. And it was very clear, and the fatwa against Freemasonry has been given before in the past, so I want to make it absolutely clear. Freemasonry is kufr, and whoever becomes a Freemason becomes a kafir, and there is no doubt about it, and it has to be said absolutely clear. The consequences of this are that since we have many people in our Muslim lands that they are clear Freemasons, and they are still influential on our children, on the education of our schools, in what is happening in our country, running the affairs of our country at some times. In every position, we have judges and policemen involved in this. It's something that we have to take with a lot of care, but not fear. Not fear, because fear is what maintains them where they are. No fear at all to this kuffar. Fear to Allah, but not to them. So if you find them, point them out, list them out, prepare them for what is coming to them, because they will be out of the land, they will be expropriated, and they will not stand in our lands. And this is true, in particular to Malaysia and particularly to Pakistan. They have been for too many years laughing at all of us, maintaining an inner group of people wealthy beyond the wealthy by the very means of Riba and the banks that they own and they control. That is ultimately everything they want, is to keep the world into misery, to deprive Islam of its power, to take the Sharia away from us. And we say to them, we stand for the Sharia. We will fight for the Sharia. We will establish the Sharia. Riba will be forbidden. Your banks will go out. And we will not buy your nonsense of your constitutions that they do not defend other religions. We defend the Christians as dhimmis, but we defend them. And we defend the Jews. We protect them from themselves by the application of the Sharia. But these laws do not defend the Muslims, do not defend the Christians, do not defend the Jews. They only defend their own system. The symbolism is nonsense. It has no spiritual validity. It has no basis on anything at all. It's only just a way of bringing religions down, of creating this doctrine of tolerance that only means it translates into religious indifference. So when you want the symbolism of tolerance, that means indifference. That means religion doesn't matter. And when they say religion doesn't matter, it's because something else matters to them. And what matters to them is no good for us. Find out more into the matter, but not like the conspirators, you know, they're creating, they're all evil and these things. That doesn't matter to us. We want to know who they are, what they are, in which position they are. And we have to get rid of all these constitutions. All the constitutions in the Muslim world have to go, because they're the stamp of kufr, which these Freemasons brought to us. Find out about these constitutional bodies. The first people who wrote the constitutions, like in the United States, you will find that more than half are Freemasons. In every Muslim country. Because this is how they do it. And then they sell it to us.